Good afternoon. All right, so I'm going to take a big sigh because I have something I want to share with you this afternoon that literally made me stop in my tracks and stop the car. Huh. I'm getting emotional just thinking about getting ready to share this with you. A very, very well-known coach in our community did what we call a national wake-up call. I call them NWCs for short. And I'm sharing this with everybody. I usually just share my thoughts with the coaches that are on my team, people that sign up to be a coach with me. But I feel like this message this coach delivered was so powerful that everybody needs to hear it, because it's not just about having a business. I mean, yeah, she talks a little bit about how she does her things and how she ties it back, but just the profound greatness of what comes out of what she says through one of her stories growing up. I think anybody, any stage, any level, any job, wherever you are in life can relate to this. I mean, you may not be able to relate to the exact story she tells, but what's going to go through your mind as she tells it, just be ready for the fireworks. That's all I have to say. So it is a wake-up call, which is kind of like a recording. So I have it on my phone. Hopefully this isn't blocky and junky so you can hear the goodness of what her words. I couldn't find it on YouTube anywhere either. And I don't think you need to hear all of her application on how she does it with the other side of her business, but just hearing the heart of her story was simply amazing to me. And I believe God puts things in our place for a reason and has us, beckons us to listen to things. And I'm super glad I had the time for this story yesterday because it's definitely enriched my life and I hope it will enrich yours. So here we go. You might hear Kenzie in the background a little bit. I'll minimize this so you don't have to stare at me the whole time while you're listening to her speak, but pretty cool. All right, here we go. Let me hit the button.
Recently, I was looking at my coach on social media and on different aspects of the interweb.
Oh, I guess I have to say it.
Looking at her and really being motivated by the actions that she was doing through the company. It sort of answered all of the questions that I had in my life, gave me solutions for all of the problems I was looking for. And I remember thinking to myself, my gosh, that would be cool if this was an actual job. If I could actually do a job, get paid for it, and motivate other people to take action. And that's really, honestly, the thing that motivated me to jump and sign up. But over time, that kind of crystal clear vision of motivating others, and that's the reason why we do this, because that's honestly, in my opinion, the definition of a Beachbody coach, that can get sort of clouded by ranks and numbers and success club and how do I operate my back office and kind of the what instead of the why. So today I really wanted to talk about when I reached that point in my business and kind of felt like I was pulling or pushing everybody on my team or everybody in my challenge group to kind of take that action in their own lives, but sort of get back to when I first started coaching and I didn't have all those fancy things that you announce before my name. What was the joy and how was I motivating other people to take action? And I actually want to do something kind of different today that I don't normally do and tell a personal story. And I got to that point in my business where I was like, man, I just feel like I'm pulling people to, take action to start a health and fitness program or take action in their business or whatever it might be. I started to feel kind of scale about my goals or about my team. And I was talking in a conversation with my mom, and she reminded me of what happened to me when I was younger. So I was about 12 or 13 years old, and this story does involve some stuff that's not traditional to coaching. It involves Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where I'm from, my butt, and a 4.5-inch long splinter. It's a choose your own adventure. No, I'm just kidding. I was about 13 years old. And my mom and I had ventured to a baseball game, and there was an adjoining playground right next to the field. And her and I decided to go over there playing around on some swings and stuff, and we hopped on a seesaw. I was on one end, and she jumped on the other end and sent me flying up to the top. And as soon as I went up to the top. My arms were super straight, and I slid full force into the handlebars. At that moment, a 4.5-inch long splinter got lodged in my right butt cheek. And a lot of people, when I told this story at Super Saturday out in Philadelphia, some chuckles filled the room. But this splinter really changed the course of my entire life. Days passed, months passed, and I didn't say a single word to anybody. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about it. I kept sitting and sleeping and running and going to school on the splinter, and eventually the splinter traveled into my hip bone, causing a full body and blood infection, which caused my body to slowly but surely shut down, organ by organ, system by system. And as a result, we kept ending up in the emergency room, covered in hives, throwing up uncontrollably, and the doctors just could not figure it out. So time passed, visits passed, and it had reached pretty much the 6-month mark after the splinter, and I was admitted to Children's Hospital. They just were giving me constant antibiotics, couldn't figure out the solution. And by this point, I was so depressed. I had been such a lively kid, so hungry for life, and now I was watching all of my friends go to school, watching them get out for the summer, and I couldn't take part in it. It had been about 4 months since I had been at Children's Hospital, and I remember this day so clearly. The doctor came into the room, took my mom right outside the door, and he explained to her, you have to be okay with saying goodbye to Bonnie. We're going to move her to the part of the hospital that sort of mimics end-of-life care. We just cannot figure it out. And I remember overhearing this conversation, not really being upset, but kind of just resigning myself to the fact that, okay, this is where my life ends. So as you can imagine, at my lowest point, I was really depressed, just did not want to be there, kind of wanted the process to speed up more, so my mindset was extremely negative. And then I got moved to this different room in the hospital where I met a girl named Sarah. And Sarah was in pretty much the same kind of situation that I was, had a different illness, but the same outcome. Only Sarah was so positive and happy, and that annoyed the crap out of me, especially being in the negative mindset that I was in. When you're in this kind of situation in a hospital as a kid, they kind of send a therapist in to have conversations with you and talk to you about the process that's happening and encourage you to do things that make you happier. And one of those things that they concentrated on was going to the playroom. And I just refused to go to the playroom. I would kick and scream. I would tell them no. I just wanted to stay in my room. But Sarah went to the playroom every single day. And the second day I was in that room, she came skipping over to my bed and she said, Bonnie, do you want to go to the playroom with me today? And I turned my head. And then day after day after day for an entire month, even if I was rude to her, if I cried, if I said I wanted to leave the room, she came over to my bed every single day and she asked me if I wanted to go to that playroom without fail. It didn't matter if it affected her. I watched her go through terrible treatments and still go to the playroom. And then I watched her come back with a smile on her face. I watched the change. And then a funny thing started happening to me. I started to change my attitude. I went from annoyed that she was so happy to interested as to what she was possibly doing in this playroom that made her situation better and that made her happier. And then there was a day where she didn't come back right away. And I was scared. I wanted to know where she was. I felt left out. I wanted to know what games they played in the playroom, who she met there, if there was anyone new there. And slowly but surely, my attitude started to completely change. I started to ask my mom why I was sick. I started to want to find a solution. And then on day 29 in that room, I went to the playroom with Sarah. And I started to research with my mom together what was wrong with me. My mom and I found out that it was actually not because of the splinter or the infection, but it was because of the antibiotics why I was dying and so rapidly, and something that the doctors weren't able to see. A miracle happened, and I got better. While we were in the room, I made a pact with Sarah. I don't know if anybody remembers. It's called The Game of Life. It used to be really big when I was a kid. You sort of have this whole family, and it's a board game type thing. And in the playroom, it was always checked out, so Sarah and I could never play it. And on the day I left the hospital, I told Sarah, I'm going to come back next week, and we're going to play The Game of Life together. I'm going to go buy it, and we're going to play in this room together. And my mom and I had gone back to the hospital the week after when I was able to leave the house. They told me that Sarah had passed away. And for a long time in my life, I wondered, why? Why did I make it out of that hospital room after all of that, after being so negative and so passive towards her? Why did I live and she didn't? And then about a year into coaching, when I was struggling with this constant pool of how do I motivate people, how do I get them to take action in their life, and I was having this conversation with my mom, and it dawned on me, and I had a light bulb moment. The person who changed my entire life, Sarah, she didn't know the answers. She didn't have a training for me. She didn't draw a map to the playroom. She didn't sit there and tell me what the cortisol levels of my blood are, what the happy chemicals are that came into my better when I went to the playroom. She simply showed me through her actions why I should go there. And she never, ever stopped asking me, even when I ignored her and even when I was rude. So I started thinking about this story and how does that story even apply to coaching? How does a story about me at a 4.5-inch long splinter in my butt cheek apply? And I think that when we get into coaching and we think, wow, I'm a motivator now, I should know all the answers now, and I have to hit this rank on this day. Traditionally we think having all the answers matters, or having every single thing in the back office just checked off of our list, or being the fittest person in the company, right? Being a trainer and knowing all those answers, having a big rank or success or income. But when I think about what actually motivated me in my life in terms of Sarah and in terms of my coach who brought me into this business, it wasn't that they were telling me what to do. It was that they were putting their actions where their mouth is. They were doing the actions that they wanted me to do because they knew it would help me. So what actually helps people is being honest in the business. If you don't know the answers, saying, I don't know the answers, but I do know that working out every day and drinking the shake makes me feel really, really good. And showcasing that every single day on your social media, never, ever missing a day. And then showing your team as you start to grow a team and bring people in that want to change their lives in those days. Hey, these are not just the activities that I'm asking you to do, like hitting Success Club or bringing people into the opportunity.
Okay, back on me. I had to get some next. So anyway, she kind of goes into more of why it's important that what I do for a living, what the people that are coaches on my team do for a living. This isn't just a product for us. This is our lifestyle. This is what we do every day, and it makes an impact on me, what you do every day. And so I'm not going to blubber at you here, but this has kind of hit my emotional bone. And I don't think people see the lifestyle part of what all of this brings together. Yeah, there's 70 plus ingredients in Shakeology, but there's nothing like trying to explain how great you feel because you drink it every day. I haven't been sick for a year. I've had 2 yucky colds go through this house. And that's what I share with people. Yeah, if somebody wants to know what the ingredients are, I'll send you the label. But you're not really going to know if it works for you until you try it. Same thing goes with a workout. Same thing goes with trying to eat vegetables if you hate them. It's different if they make your stomach cranky. That's a whole different thing, and we need to talk. But, think about all the things you say you can't do. You can. If you put your mind to it, you put your research fingers to it, the answers are out there. It's all at your fingertips. I'm just telling you, this video keeps impacting me like I don't even know what else to say. You just need to listen to it again and let it resonate because it will keep impacting you. It still has me. So I hope you felt that this was a great thing to listen to because I certainly did. Have a great rest of your day.